Hey, Mr. Bentley, are you ready to go show our friends what's happening on the homestead today? Come on, let's go show them. Hello, hello, great friends. This is Myra Robinson, and of course, welcome to the Pink Lady Urban Homestead. You know, I will tell you right off the top that this is one of my very first videos, and the platform of this page is so informal, so comfortable and laid back. We simply are using the joy of gardening to address a lot of things that we need a safe place sometimes to talk about. So enjoy this gardening journey along with me as we talk about things that, you know, don't always come across as the easiest things to talk about. But we're going to have fun doing it. Now, I am not a doctor, I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but what I am an independent Mary Kay beauty consultant and sales director. I am a Navy veteran and I am a single mom who loves to garden. You know, the pandemic brought out a lot of skills and talents that a lot of us didn't know that we had, but it also brought to the forefront some stressors and some issues and mental health struggles that a lot of people didn't know that they had or were just kind of blown up because of it too. And that is where gardening found me. You see, a lot of people don't realize that you can be in a state of depression but still be in a functioning situation, and then one thing can trigger an episode, or it can trigger a feeling or a sense of despair that you hadn't ever felt before, and it can kind of freak you out. Well, you know what? The pandemic brought some stuff together, but I want to give you a safe place to do some fun things, and a place where you can actually put some comments and know that you are not by yourself. But remember, I am not a professional gardener. I am not a doctor of any stretch of the imagination, but I will tell you, I have been through some stuff, and I will tell you where you can find some help if you need it, because that's the first step to healing, is just admitting that there's something going on. And how many of us now have had things going on, and we just kind of stuff it back because you got to work, or you stuff it back because you've got children to take care of, or a household to run, or even a job to perform at. Well, you know what? Gardening was my way of having a place to release a lot of that. I mean, y'all, I always have loved having a plant or two, house plants, just things. I love to see things grow. But when I tell you that the pandemic brought some stuff out of your girl, that's the biggest understatement that there is. So come along with this journey with me, and let's just have a doggone good time, okay? This is a place where you won't hear a lot of foul language, you won't hear a lot of gossiping, but what you will hear is you'll hear things that I have learned and that I have experienced along the way that has helped me. And if in some way it blesses your heart and blesses your spirit, then you're in the right place. The Pink Lady Urban Homestead was created for you, and it was created for me. So come on, let's have a good time, right? Now, what I want to share with you, the first thing off the top is, you know what? I am not a professional videographer. I'm not a professional anything other than a big heart for a person like you. So I have been bit by the springtime bug. I've been gardening now since the onset of the pandemic, and even a little time before. But I'm going to pan around. And like I said, I am not a professional videographer. So if you pros out there get upset because I'm bouncing around or there's background noise or whatever, honey, you might as well just go to another page and have some fun somewhere else. This is a laid back place for laid back people to talk about hard stuff and have some fun digging in the dirt and building some things together, right? So, what I found today was that it was time to pull out seeds. Are you ready to take a look? Take a look. All right, my friends, well, here we are. We have the seeds here. Now, let me just explain a little bit. Tonight, we're actually going to start some. We're going to start some seeds. And again, like I said, I am not a professional videographer, but what I'm hoping will happen today is that I will encourage you to do some things outside of your comfort zone that may give you an outlet. It will relieve some stress, I will tell you that. And it will open up your hearts and minds to some things that maybe you didn't think of before. So, starting seeds is a great place to start this page. So, the first thing I'm going to tell you is what we're going to need. The first thing you're going to need to start seeds with me tonight is you're going to need seeds. All right, there's a no brainer there. And I'm going to be talking about some of the seeds that not only I've collected and harvested from previous growing experiences, but I also have store bought ones that I'm enjoying right now too. So you're going to need those. Then you're going to need a Sharpie. You're going to need Sharpies. This is what I have found is the easiest thing to write on plastic, and you'll find out about that here in a minute. You're also going to need ballpoint pens. I found that ballpoint pens are great to write on napkins and they don't bleed into the dampness of it all. So come along and join me as we get into this whole deal, okay? Alrighty. So now we have our equipment. Let me finish the list. Okay, we've got the Sharpies and the ballpoint pens. You're also going to need some Ziploc storage bags. These are like quart size, and they don't have to be fancy or special. They don't even have to be the freezer version. They just need to be quart size, and you'll see why here in just a minute. Okie dokie. The next thing you're going to need is a spray bottle with just some plain water in it. Just plain water, nothing added to it. You're going to need that. And then you're going to need some paper towels. And what I've done is I have got the paper towels that actually, when you tear them off, they're already this size. And you'll see that I've already predated um, the date on the bottom of each paper towel with ballpoint pen so that I know when I started the seeds, because we're going to be using the paper towel method to start our seeds. And we're just going to pick a few and I'm going to show you how I do it. And we will kick off our seed starting season together as we launch off and follow the journey of the Pink Lady Urban Homestead Spring Seed Starting Season 2023. Now say that fast 5 times. Okay, so that's all we're going to need right now. You got your seeds, you got your pens and markers, you got your Ziploc bags, you've got your water bottle just with plain tap water in it, paper towels, and now we are ready to rock and roll. Okay, so over the years, I've discovered that the best way to learn is to learn by making mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You know, many of us perfectionists, because I consider myself a perfectionist, you want to have an area of control where you want to also have some fun while you're doing it, right? Well, starting seeds is a great way to put that energy into something else, right? Well, the first thing that I did was I took my seeds and I went ahead and divided them up into categories, and we'll be talking about that going forward too. But I usually find that the information on the back of seed packets is a great resource to know when you start seeds in your area. And we haven't, in my area, I'm in zone 8B. Um, we haven't had our last frost date yet. So you want to know what that information is, and you can Google that. You can Google that, put in your zip code, and it'll tell you when your first and last frost date is. That's important to know because when you get ready to set seeds out or seedlings out, you don't want to put them out and then let them get bombarded with frost and killed. So this kind of tells you that. And if you look at it carefully, you'll see down here, you'll see, when the ideal time to start certain seeds are. It'll even tell you how many days to germination you can expect, what the planting depth down in the dirt is, and how many days it takes to harvest. And those items, or should I say, those numbers you want to know as it pertains to your frost date, because you don't want to plant them too early and you don't want to plant them too late. You want to give yourself enough time. It even tells you how far apart you want to plant your plants, so that as you consider what they're going to look like when they are big, you don't want them so close together they're crowding each other out, and you don't want them so far apart that you have wasted space. So that's good information to know. So, for example, this little pumpkin here, these in my area, you don't start those. You actually start them in late February through July. And we're coming up on that now, being the middle of January. And these are those beautiful little jack o' lantern pumpkins that my niece and nephew like to carve around Halloween time. So we might start a couple of these, but this is one of those fruits and vegetables that takes up a lot of space. So you want to make sure that you have set aside enough space in your garden to accommodate these boogers, because they are heavy feeders and they take a lot of space. Okay, so I'm going to set these to the side because I haven't 100% decided that I'm going to plant pumpkin this year. I did last year and it was great, it was fun, but honey, they took up a lot of space. Now, you also will have seeds that you harvest from vegetables and fruits and even flowers that you fell in love with, and you let them go to seed, and then you harvest the seeds and then you put them up. Well, this right here is a little packet of eggplant seeds that I harvested from an eggplant that I had allowed to mature, and it was my first time having eggplant, and the dish that I made, I fell in love with it. So, the way you harvest seeds is you allow the plant to go all the way, and then you harvest them and then put them up. And that's what I did here. So, I harvested those. It's a little early to do eggplant, so I'm not going to be doing those yet either. Then you've got hot peppers. I've got peppers, jalapeno, and some sweet peppers, banana peppers. I even had a cool one that I found last year that's called a jalapeno. Anybody ever heard of that? Anybody ever heard of jalapeno before? Well, a jalapeno is basically a jalapeno that is bred to not have any heat to it at all. Has all the flavors and the dynamics of a jalapeno, but no heat. But we also have sweet peppers in there, and there's a special way that you start these seeds off by using a heat mat, and we're going to talk about those in videos to come too. All right. And of course, the famous squash varieties. You got your zucchinis, you got your crooknecks, you got your yellow squash, and all that fun stuff. We are definitely planting this because my family absolutely loves zucchini squash and yellow squash. And in my area, the best time to get these bad boys in the ground is between April and June. And I want to make sure that we get these ready to go. Now, when it comes to green zucchini, February, between September and February in my area, which is weird because they're both in the squash family, right? So I keep these two together and I start them and I put them out early spring and I just let them ride all the way through the summer. So these are going to be some of the ones that we start. Then we have carrots. Now, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not a big carrot eater, especially um, anything outside of like coleslaw or carrot cake. You know what I mean? But I love to grow them. I like to grow them because there's different sizes, different varieties, and you know, I hope you're enjoying going through these seeds with me. So, what you want to consider is the type that you're growing, and if they're container friendly, and how much space they're going to need to develop in. Now, if you get the miniature kind, obviously you don't need a um, deep hole or deep flower bed or deep pot to put them in. But if you grow the shorter varieties, you got more room to do that. So we're going to be doing that. And carrots are a variety or a vegetable that you can start around this time of the year too. And I love growing carrots because I love to watch them grow. So we're going to be doing carrots right along with the squash. All right. So let's talk about flowers for a second. Last year, I absolutely fell in love with Gerber daisies, and they produce some beautiful flowers for me, and the plants are absolutely beautiful. And I harvested the seeds from them along with some of the petals, and I'm going to attempt to start new Gerber daisy plants from the seeds that I harvested from the plants from the outside. And we're going to see those here in a minute. And one beautiful plant can produce a bunch of seeds, because that's what we're looking at here. And I know you guys who have been doing this a long time are like, lady, I know what I'm doing. But you know what? For those of us that are just getting into it, just bear with us, okay? Because believe it or not, all this fuzzy stuff you see, these are seeds. These are all seeds. So we're going to direct sow those. We're not going to start those on the napkins like I normally do. But I tell you what, we may do it both ways. But I went ahead and I harvested some from the flowers that were spent and kept them dry and cool since the summer. And I'm looking forward to planting these bad boys in future videos too. So we're going to set these to the side. All right. Now over here we have our, what I call my kitchen garden. You know, all the herbs and things that we love to eat with our different meals and things like that. For example, this right here is a broadleaf sage. You know, everybody knows when it's time for doing dressing and stuff like that, you got to have your sage, right? All right. Then you got basil. All right. So all my Italian dishes, you know, you got to have the basil, you know. So I love doing basil. And then, of course, cilantro for all of my um, um, salsas and things like that. Now, I'm one of those weird people that cilantro tastes like soap to me. Anybody else have that? Anybody else have that gene where cilantro, when eaten, tastes like dish soap? I'm in that category too. But my family, I have several family members who love cilantro, so I pretty much grow a lot of things just for them. And of course, as I look at this deal, we see that the ideal planting time is in direct sun after all danger of frost has passed. And for best results, plant in rows 12 inches apart, and then thin the plants 6 inches apart within when they get to be 2 inches tall. And that's the best way to know how to plant and when. So we're going to be getting these guys ready to go too. So these are my herbs. All right. Moving right along. Who can't grow a tomato, right? Well, I've learned two different types of tomatoes are the biggest deal right now. And what I'll show you in other videos is I had some volunteer tomatoes come up at the very end of the season last year. And I actually overwintered tomato plants. I don't even remember which ones they were, but I didn't have the heart to throw them away. Because what happens a lot of times is you'll have a couple of tomatoes that will drop on the ground, ripen, the seeds will germinate in the soil and then pop up. And you got little teeny tiny tomato plants popping up everywhere, and there they are. Well, I overwintered some, and I wanted to share with you the ones that I'm also going to grow to add to that. Now, this year, sweet friends, I found that I didn't need nearly as many slicing tomatoes, you know, like for sandwiches and hamburgers and things like that. But I have developed an amazing barbecue sauce from the paste versions of tomatoes. So I'm growing more of this variety this year so that I have plenty to do my ketchups and barbecue sauces and marinades, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, and all of that. So I'm going to be doing lots of these type of tomatoes this year. And then we're also going to get a chance to talk about some of the differences between the different types of tomatoes. You've got your determinate and indeterminate, which affects how and where you grow them. So definitely got to put tomatoes in the mix. Those seeds we're going to start today too. Now, also, I had some fun. I had some fun. Let me share with you what this little guy is. Can you see? I'm gonna get it as best to the camera as I can. All right. On this right here are tomato seeds that I harvested and saved from a tomato that I had gotten from a friend that my family fell in love with. And anytime you find a fruit or vegetable that you fall in love with, save the seeds from it. Put it on a napkin. Get clean off as much of the pulp or whatever off of it that you possibly can. Put it on a napkin to completely dry out. Okay, you gotta make sure that you completely let it dry out so that when you save them, there's no mold, there's no decay or anything like that. And then what I did last year is I actually took these seeds and not knowing how they were going to germinate or pop up or whatever, I planted two per pot. Y'all, every single tomato came up and they were just as delicious the second time around as they were when they were given to me. I don't even know the name of these bad boys. All I know is that they were a large cherry type tomato, which means there's like several of them on the vine. And to me, that kind of reminds me of one of these, like this. Well, no, not exactly. But it was like a cherry tomato, but they were big. And they were growing, they grew in bunches, kind of like this. But my folks enjoyed them. So what I did is I saved the seeds from it after cleaning them off, let them dry completely, and then they're attached to this napkin pretty good. But since they're so dry, all I got to do is pluck them off one by one, put them in the soil, and let them go. So we're gonna give a couple of these a shot today too. All right. So now that we're off and running and we're ready to get started, it's time to get set up for the paper towel method of starting seeds. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, friends. Well, it's time to get on into it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go over again what we're going to be using. We got our markers here, we got our plastic bag and paper towels, we got our spray bottle right here, and of course we got the seeds that we're going to be working with. Well, the first seed that I want to make sure that I start, I didn't mention it earlier, is cucumbers. Y'all, I got a chance to make several different dishes with cucumbers and pickles, and oh my gosh, it was just fantastic. So I have learned how to make relish. I've learned how to make different types of canned pickles, dill pickles, bread and butter pickles. It's all so much fun. And today we're going to make sure that we get our cucumbers off to a great start. I am using a variety that I have fallen in love with for pickling, which is a Market More cucumber. That's one that we're going to start today. We're also going to start off a muncher variety of cucumber. All right. And then, of course, you can't go without making the slicer variety for our salad friends, right? And these are all varieties that you want to start in my area in February. So we're going to start them on the paper towel method and get them rocking and rolling. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and label the paper towel where you're going to put them, what you're putting on there, and get them set for the plastic bag. So what I've already done is I've got the date already written on the bottom of the paper towel, and we're going to start off with the muncher variety of the cucumber. And when I say this is the simplest thing that you'll ever do, this is going to give you an opportunity, because the worst thing that you want to do, and the reason why I truly adopted this method, was it's going to germinate before you put it in the soil. That way you carefully keep count of which ones are going to germinate and which ones don't. And you can, especially when you have a small garden and you want to make sure that the space that you've allocated for a particular vegetable, you have enough for that, because you don't want to plant it out there and it doesn't pop up. Okay, so let's start off with our muncher cucumber. All right, so the date's already on here, and again, we're using a ballpoint pen because once this paper towel gets damp, you don't want to have the writing kind of fade or smudge out on you. So we're going to put muncher cucumber at the bottom here, and then we're going to lay the seeds out. All right, so we're putting that right on the one, right, just write it right on the paper towel. Now I plan on having at least 6 or 7 seeds, and that's what we're going to be doing with this. So we're going to go ahead and put the seeds on the towel, and I kind of keep them spaced apart just so that I can keep track of how many are out there on the towel. I'm going to see if I make sure I get a good shot of this. All right, there we go. And like I said, I'm not a professional videographer, but as you can see, I got them right here on the towel. And you can kind of spread them out. I try to put them at least an inch or two apart because what you don't want is you don't want them um, to sprout and then get all tangled up. All right, so what I'm going to do is the writing is on this side. So I'm going to flip it over face down to where the writing is on underneath, because when I fold it over, I want to be able to read the writing, right? So I'm going to take the seeds and I'm going to put them right here on the towel, and I'm going to make sure they're spread out and not touching. All right, not touching. And I do that just to give them room to spread out, because cucumber seeds, believe it or not, they sprout pretty quick, and you'll see that. I'm gonna give you a full review of these as they start coming up. So I'm gonna put, let's say 12. Let's do 12. Let's do an even 12. And I'm gonna make sure they're good and spread out so that when they sprout, I don't have to worry about them getting tangled up. All right. And then I gotta get one more out of here. I almost had it. I almost had it. How about 11 dropped out, y'all? That was pretty funny. All right, and I'm gonna drop one more in this spot. Oh, only one, Myra, only one. All right. And a friend of mine asked me the other day if the expiration date, how important the expiration date is on your seeds. Well, what I learned from watching different YouTube gardeners is, of course, your seed date is important, and you want to keep in mind that the older they are, the less viable they may become, and you may have to start more because they're guaranteed only up to this date, but it doesn't mean that they're no longer any good. So as you can see, this pack right here will be 3 years old this year, and you'll see. All right, so I've got 12 on my towel here, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it over, cover them up, try not to disturb them too much, right? Lay it right on over. And then you literally spray the paper towel so that it dampens. Of course, my spray bottle isn't going to want to work for me. Probably should have tested it out beforehand. Isn't that funny? But you know what? I don't take life too serious. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my backup going here. And we'll use another spray bottle and keep this party going. How about that? Can't take life too serious. You get hung up on the wrong things and you just lose all the joy in life, So what I have is another little spray bottle. Hopefully it works for me, and if not, I will wet it off camera and come right back. Okay, perfect. All right, go ahead and prime this up. And let's see if we can get it going this time. There we go. Just kind of tighten it up. And what we're going to do is just kind of dampen the towel. You don't want it sopping wet, but you want it wet enough so that the towel becomes transparent and you can see the seeds through it. But you don't want the water settling in the bag. All right, see how you can kind of see the seeds through there? All right, and you just kind of give them one more check to make sure that they're not too close together, which allows you, you can open it up and make sure. Just kind of roll it back, and they're a little close together. So I'm just going to kind of move them around a little bit, just to make sure that they're not too close. Because I've done this before, and they were so close together that they get tangled up, and then you end up tearing them apart, or tearing them up trying to tear them apart. All right, so we're going to close that back. Now, my friends, you make sure that they're all tapped down nice and tight, and you get your plastic bag. And since the writing is already on there and you don't have to worry about it, you can go ahead and Put it right on in the bag. All right, lift it right on up. Slide it right inside your plastic bag here. Nice and cozy. Lay it out flat, just like that. And since these do not require a heat mat or anything, believe it or not, by this time next week, if not, I'm telling you, by this weekend, it is Saturday today. By Wednesday, you might see them sprouted. I'm serious. These cucumbers sprout very fast. All right, squeeze out all the air, close it up, set it to the side, and you have literally prepared your first paper towel method for your first seeds. So if you've done this before, I would love to know what your success has been. I haven't found anything yet that I have not successfully done this way, but I've had some difficulties with bell peppers. So if y'all got some ideas on that, I would love to. So that is how you do seeds in the paper towel method. Sound good? All right, so I'm going to do a few more and come back.